All right, as I said, I have some things to discuss with you. And one being that I had a great
Normally I'm in
conversation with your
trouble.
wife. You're not in trouble, but
Normally that
Shannon
means
was
I'm in
awesome.
trouble.
We had a great episode. And
She's so great.
man, you have a lovely spouse, a partner. Seriously.
Well, thank you. I always say it, man. I don't know how I could have done better. She could
Yeah.
have. I don't know if I could have.
You're
They're all
downgrading
gone
your
right
part of the
now.
whole thing.
Yeah. They're all in North Carolina with her brother's family. They're all
Oh,
out on the
nice.
coast, North Carolina. Actually, they're driving home today. So
Okay.
I guess I need to clear the empties.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
It's surprising how much more work there is when they're gone. Um not because they left so I can clean a little deeper,
Okay.
but I have to take care of all three dogs.
Oh, all right.
So they all need walks, they all need attention, playtime, all this stuff. It's a good part of my day just taking care. And so when you don't have a kid to say, "Hey, go walk the dog,"
Yeah.
all of a sudden like 4 hours of my day is like taking care of
Jeez,
these
man.
mutts to make sure they don't feel abandoned, when everybody's
Wow.
gone. So,
Interesting stuff, man. Well, listen, this is Simon keeping it exciting right
yeah.
now. But yeah, we had a great conversation and I actually brought you up several times within it.
Yeah,
And
Shannon was really sweet. She was just like, "Wow," she's like, "Oh, you guys love each other too
yeah.
much." Kind of,
No, it's come
Yeah.
on, don't say that. It's not enough love in the world. Come
Yeah,
on. It's
I
like-
know.
No, it was great, man. And she like just her side talking about you and kind of like how you can kind of like you're like, oh, Simon can just do his own thing, like he's not necessarily looking for friends and stuff. So the fact that you guys have each other is like really nice that you can talk about different things. It's like it's
It
just nice
is.
that she sees the appreciation about it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You'd be amused. Did I tell you that I'm now on it's basically the local Tonys, and now I'm on the board,
Oh
like
no.
or like so I'm one of the people who gets the vote.
Is this good a good
So
thing for you? I mean,
yeah,
it's like
it's so funny. So I go to a local production of Sister Act,
okay.
the musical,
Yeah.
and I know some people in the cast or whatever, and one of them comes out afterwards, and they're like, it's called the Stanleys here. And they're like, "Are you on the Stanley committee now?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I guess I am." That's the only reason I'm here watching this terrible production. Uh,
this is here it comes.
but she looked at me with this constipated expression.
Mm.
She's like, "That's gonna be terrible." I was just like, "Well, sorry,
Excuse me.
it wasn't actually my idea. Somebody on the Stanley Committee asked if I would, I don't know what to call it, accept being nominated, and I was
Okay.
like, "Yeah, sure." If anybody on there knows me, they'll probably vote me down.
Yeah, soon, like
But
really soon. Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, I went to my first meeting recently, and it was funny. We had a couple of kind of bigger name musicals to talk about that were produced locally, and one's Adam's Family, and the other one was Sister Act,
Yeah.
and certain aspects of each production were admirably done.
Hmm.
But just like what we talk about with movies, sometimes you just sit there and you're just like, what, why, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
What's the deal? But so much of that goes down to writing, like the source material. It's like, so I'm actually very forgiving, and I actually came to, during our Stanley Committee discussion, you would be surprised to find out that I actually came to the defense of actually the Sister Act one, because I said, you can't do anything with this source material. It's awful.
Mm.
It's terrible. So the fact that this show was as good as it was is actually a freaking miracle
Wow.
because the source material is so bad. And I just don't know why these things get famous. Like,
Yeah.
why is this show Sister Act a successful Broadway show? It's terrible. And if you hadn't seen the movie, you wouldn't
Right.
care about it. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you went to go see this and the movie didn't previously exist, you wouldn't give a crap about this.
Interesting.
And the same with the Addams Family. If that wasn't a pre-existing thing, I walked out of the Addams Family and I asked my daughter Rainbow, she and I went to it together, and I asked her, "Did you think they did anything spooky?" She's like, "No, not really." There's like one kind of funny scene where she's kind of torturing her brother Pugsley. The Wednesday, she's torturing her brother
Yeah.
Pugsley. Um, but I said, yeah, they keep on having to tell you that they're kooky and creepy, but nothing they actually really do in it. So anyway, my point was, if it wasn't a pre-existing property, you would have no idea that this family is supposed to be creepy and weird.
Yeah.
They're not. They just
Yeah.
keep telling you they are.
All right. I know how you feel about when people tell you what the thing is.
The worst song in the Addams Family musical is a song called "I'm Crazier Than You," and it's sung by multiple characters
Yeah.
who are supposed to be like showing their wild side or something. They're so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so unearned and it's so
Yeah.
stupid, and it just made me vomit. It really,
Wow.
I emotionally vomited
This
all
is
over
so
that
great.
theater when they were singing this song. It was embarrassing, and it was embarrassing that talented people were singing these songs.
Yeah.
It was below that. I mean, how is a successful Broadway show below community theater? You know what I'm saying?
Wow,
Like,
that's really bad. I mean,
yeah, I mean, so the Sister Act show, the lead, Dolores, the Whoopi Goldberg character in the
mhm.
movie, she was fantastic. She was charisma off the charts, and I was so impressed with her. And I was actually really impressed with a lot of the choreography and things like that of that show. And I just kept thinking to myself, you guys are so far above this material that you're
Right.
performing. I mean, it's just, why this show? You guys could have been doing all the, and maybe not. Maybe there's
Yeah.
just not enough good Broadway to go
Right, maybe not, yeah.
around. I don't know. Are you a
Wow.
musical fan? That was the question I was going to
No,
ask you.
no. I literally
Do
I've
you like
tried,
any musicals?
not really. And let me preface this with, I'm not one of these people who says I don't like it, but I've never, like, really dove in to try to like it.
Yeah.
I've literally tried to watch a variety of musicals, in person, movies or musical, and I just, something about it is just off for me. I don't know. I don't really want people singing. I don't want, there's something about the singing that I just don't want it. I don't want it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, can we get away from this part? They're like, well, no, this is the point of it. I'm like, no, I don't want it.
So I actually love the Broadway rule for uh uh well, just to say this, if you apply this Broadway rule to life, I think it'll make you a happy person. So you talk until emotions get to a certain pitch, and then you have to sing.
Oh,
But when the emotions go beyond singing, you have to dance.
hmm.
And I really like that.
That's
I think that's a
interesting.
beautiful way to look at life.
I like that.
And it doesn't matter what emotion it is. It could be anger, sadness, happiness, joy. When you get to a certain point, sing. And then when you can't sing anymore, dance. And I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing. I have a soft spot in my heart for musicals. I grew up watching a lot of
Yeah.
musicals, a lot of these movie musicals. Grew up watching The Happiest Millionaire, Seven Brides for Seven
Yeah.
Brothers. But these were elite performers at the very top of their game. And when you compare the performances in those films to the performances in movie musicals that have been produced in like the last 20 years,
Mhm.
it's once again, it's embarrassing.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm gonna have to look back at this then, yeah.
So I've shown my kids like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I'm like, check this out. And they're like, holy crap. No, seriously. They're like,
Okay.
holy crap. These dance and choreography and stuff. I mean, off the charts incredible.
Yeah.
And then you go and you watch like The Greatest Showman and it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
embarrassing.
Si
No, it's seriously
Simon, you're
embarrassing.
such a harsh critic. I'm just waiting for you to be, like, on another committee, and you're just like, "Oh, it's Simon again." Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like skewering everything about current society, everything. Like, Star Wars the musical could be the worst thing ever
It probably
made.
would be.
Right,
It
right.
would be. I mean, so actually, kind of the head of the committee, he actually said this, and it's spot on. He's because we're talking about once again, we're talking about Sister Act and Adam's Family,
Yeah.
and he was just like, why are we so creatively bankrupt in this source material? Because it's all based on pre-existing properties, and we've
Yeah.
talked about this in regards to film. It's
Yes.
like, why are we just trying to rehash the same ideas over and over and over again? Uh, you know, the reason Star Wars people still want to see a Star Wars movie is because the first one was so off the charts good
Yes.
and original in its feel. Like it felt so original. And it's like, why aren't these movie production houses looking for the next big original thing? Why
Yeah.
where is that?
It's a mystery, and I'm not sure that's gonna get better considering that, and I wanted to talk to you about this is a good tie into it, the actor and writer strike that's going on. Um,
I haven't paid too much attention to it. I mean, I know the basics, but I haven't paid too much attention to it. I have a funny anecdote about that, but go
oh,
ahead.
really? Yeah,
Go
well, I
ahead.
just think, like well, I know there's a big part of it is, related to, like, writer pay, and there's
Hmm.
issues with, like there's less episodes than there were in other sitcoms in the past and then streaming, but also that now they may be, like, trying to scan actors' likeness and then using them like in perpetuity, like forever, even when they die. They keep using
Yeah.
the actor, and so I understand that whole thing with it. But it's interesting. It's like, well, it's actually on another side. It's not like they're producing amazing material as it is, though.
Yeah.
So, will a strike produce better material, or is it just for monetary sake or whatever? Do what you got to do. It's much deeper than I know about it. And, for people in the arts, as you've always said, being an actor has got to be one of the hardest things to do to stay afloat and all those
Yeah.
things.
And
But,
being a writer, I
writer, oh
mean,
my gosh.
getting a job as a writer on one of these shows has got to be so competitive, and um, you're at the whim or of the producers and what they want, and rewrite this. We don't want
Yeah.
whatever. But I you know I feel like the quality of material comes down to director and producer,
Hmm.
because those are the people who have the final say at the end of the day. Whoever has the money, has the ultimate final say,
Right.
unless they've contractually given director, what do they call that? Final cut. Very few directors have final cut status,
Right.
very few. But you still have to blame the director for what's on the film.
Right.
that's on the celluloid.
Exactly right.
They have to make that decision of what they filmed. Um, but yeah, I think it's a tricky business, and I'm of course I'm always going to be on the side of the writers.
Yeah.
Especially because they are probably overworked and underpaid. They're probably a very underappreciated.
Yeah.
Um, writing is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can do an hourly, thing, but creativity is just one of those things. It's really difficult to clock
Yeah.
creativity.
Right.
So, being a writer, while it doesn't sound like the most difficult job in the world, you're kind of always working because you're always trying to find that next idea to write about. Um, I know this just from being a writer and a songwriter. It's not like you're always sweating and hard at work like that, but you're always trying to find that next idea, and then you're always trying to quickly get it down before you lose that idea.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I'm just trying to say is like, when you're a writer, you're just working 24/7 because you're always trying to come up with, the next best idea that you can come up with. And I just think it's an underappreciated
Yeah.
vocation is all I'm trying to say.
I would say so too. But it also makes me wonder, like, where has the writing gone in terms of source material, original material, and all these levels, whether it's musicals, plays, series, movies. I feel it's especially bad in movies. I see. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what was the turn that made writing, or creating a great script mainly just rehashing things that have been done before and just putting it on the big screen?
Yeah, and then sometimes, so I follow this podcast on YouTube. Oh gosh, what's it called? Sorry, I'm just blank. It's something about movie therapy. One guy is a professional, licensed therapist, and the other guy is a professional filmmaker, and they just sit
Interesting.
down and talk about movies.
Love it.
Well, their most recent one, they talked about Superman, Man of Steel.
Okay.
And basically, they talked about the Superman character arc for the, what's that director's name?
Oh,
Who did Man of Steel and
Zach.
stuff?
No, is it
Zack
Snyder?
Snyder.
Snyder, yeah.
Yep. So for the Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder, Superman story arc. And it was really interesting because the filmmaker guy, he sounded like just like you and me, where it's just like, yeah, this is awful, this is terrible. I mean, what are they thinking? And it's difficult because Zack Snyder is so obviously so talented.
Yes.
Henry Cavill, he so obviously could be a great Superman.
Right.
So why was that Man of Steel movie so bad? And so I went back and rewatched it just the other day.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why am I doing this to myself?
Simon.
I literally felt like that pretty much the whole time. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? This is terrible. This is a terrible movie. But it was funny because I had forgotten that Christopher Nolan, he and somebody else, I don't remember their name, they actually came up with the story for this.
Mm.
And they didn't write the final script.
Okay.
But Christopher Nolan produced, and he at least had input on the story. Enough
Right.
input that he was credited story by so and so and Christopher Nolan. So once again, I'm like, you got a story by Christopher Nolan, and then you have Zack Snyder, who is a master of visuals.
The
I'll give him
visual,
that.
he has a style for sure.
Yeah, and then I actually went and looked up the cinematographer for it, because every time in that movie that they're doing a natural light scene, it might be a butterfly on a
Yeah. It's
flower or something
pretty.
like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful
It is.
cinematography. And it is the cinematography in and of itself with the Hans Zimmer score on
Yes.
top of it then is so emotionally impactful. And then people open their mouths. I'm serious. Then people open their mouths. I'm like, this is so terribly written.
Yeah.
It's so terribly written. And immediately I was just thinking about how could this be a better movie? It's so easy. It's
I want to
seriously
know. I
so
want to
easy.
hear Simon's take on this. I actually, because I'm a big Superman franchise person. So I'm curious about this.
Here's the number one way that you make this a better movie. General Zod comes down with the intention of befriending the son of his old friend. Because Superman's father and Zod, while they disagreed, they definitely had a love for each other.
Yeah.
And General Zod really regretted killing his friend,
Yes.
but his duty came above that. So the number one way to make this movie better is to have Zod be a conflicted character that he actually wants to befriend and maybe even take under his wing the son of the man um, that he's so sad about having killed, and he wants to make amends for that. But his loyalty to Krypton and his programming, which I think is a good device that they came up with in the movie, that
Yeah.
it's that everybody's kind of
He's a
pre-programmed
warrior,
by
basically, a
birth.
general. Yeah.
So that programming overtakes his his ability to actually be the father figure that he might have wanted to have been for Kal-El, Superman.
Right.
Right away, isn't that a better movie?
It's a better movie, and to take advantage of one of our better actors and right now, which is Michael Shannon, who played Zod.
Exactly.
He is an excellent actor.
He's amazing. I know it's a superhero movie, but just take away half of the action scenes in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Trust me, you won't miss them. They're so tired and boring. Seriously, I just zone out. I just zone out, man. And
Yeah.
it's not because the action scenes are bad. There's just too
Right,
much
right.
and they're too long.
I actually
So
really liked the beginning of the movie the best when they were on Krypton. I thought that was a different take on Superman to actually be on Krypton in the
yeah.
actual movie and give some more backstory. Russell Crowe and the
Mm-hmm.
whole like the planet and the whole like it actually kind of there was a lot of substance there because I thought that part I liked the writing because I thought it was kind of similar to Earth and the fact that everybody's saying, "Hey, something's going on. We're stripping this planet of all its resources,"
Yep.
and then the folly of humans are the same way. In this sense, it's like, well, we have time,
Yeah.
and that Superman's father was like, "Listen, we're this is going to end badly if we don't listen here." I actually like that part quite a bit. Yeah,
Yeah. I liked that Zod was taking over because once again because of his loyalty, or
yeah,
he was trying to take over once
right.
again just because of his loyalty to Krypton, not the planet but the people.
People, yeah,
So his loyalty to the people of Krypton and that internal programming that he had to protect Kryptonians at all cost, that um, programming within him should have made him not want to hurt another Kryptonian, though.
right,
So
right,
once again, his character should have been a lot more conflicted about ever killing another Kryptonian.
right,
If his programming is to protect Krypton,
right.
but he seems to revel in coming in and like blasting, one of the council people.
Yeah,
And the Russell Crowe's character as Father Superman, he was way more interesting than Superman himself
I agree with that. Yes.
because he was born underneath under that programming, but he once again what you're saying, like, that's an interesting story. Superman is the first natural birth on Krypton in centuries, they said,
Yes.
because he wanted his son to have that free will and
Right.
blah blah blah. Um, but along with that, Russell Crowe's character himself had decided that he would defy the boundaries of his own,
Yes.
and we got to see that he was a better fighter than Zod.
Right.
He was, he was taking down people.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, so his character is actually the most interesting character in the
Yeah.
movie, because he's not one dimensional.
Yeah.
You actually see that he has all these different dimensions to him. The Superman character could have been just as interesting. He just okay. Here's my impression of Henry Cavill as Superman. You ready?
I'm
And,
ready.
and for people who are just listening, I'll narrate what's happening. I'm knitting my brow like together. This is his expression the entire movie. He is not happy, I think, for more than like 10 seconds in that movie.
True. It's true. He's already yeah, it's always like, eh.
When he disguises, quote unquote, himself as Clark Kent, he doesn't change a bit.
No.
He doesn't change. He doesn't. It's not even trying. He doesn't change his hair. He puts on glasses.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
supposed to
So
be
foolish.
fooled. I mean, there's just so many of these things where I'm just like, they just weren't even trying. It's like, make him a conflicted character as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But make him conflicted because he wants so badly for everything to be good,
Yeah.
but it's not going well.
Right.
You know?
It's actually, I think the part when he becomes Superman is when it actually goes downhill quite a bit. Like him growing up
I
and
would agree
actually
with
as
that.
an adult and struggling with his identity. I mean, every person can identify with that. When he's like working at that diner, and he's doing all this, like he's got the beard and he's
Once
walking
again, it's
around.
so poorly written,
It's
though.
just
That
I
diner
agree.
scene is so poorly
Oh, it's
written.
so bad. But I like, okay, I kind of like this different version of that. It's like when he becomes the Man of Steel. That's
Yeah,
when it goes way downhill, I think, for me. I'm like, this could have been a lot better, this transition. I don't know.
I agree with you. And so many of the things were just so obvious,
Yeah.
that having him have to go to the other side of the world to fight a
Yeah.
machine.
Ah.
It's so obvious that they're trying to give other people things to do,
Yeah,
so they have to
exactly.
put him on the other side of the world fighting a machine. The most boring scene, hands down, in the movie:
Bad. Bad.
Superman fighting a machine that has octopus
Right.
tentacle
Tentacles and
arms.
stuff.
I mean, it's so lame and so boring. Who wants to watch that? I mean, I just can't think of a single person that is like, hey, would you rather watch well written scenes of Zod and Superman having philosophical debates about their future as
Yeah.
friends and the future of Krypton as a society, and if Kryptonians can live together with
Yeah.
Earthlings? Or would you rather watch Superman punch a computer generated octopus tentacle coming out of a machine? I mean,
I
I
know.
just, I just, I just don't know what's interesting about that. I can't
No.
think of a single thing that's interesting about it.
No. And I don't like Amy Adams' character either. Lois Lane. I
It's
just
too
don't I
bad because
just felt
she's
it was
so
bad.
good.
She's a great actor. Again,
She is so good.
wasting the character, the
Wasting
actress.
talent.
Because I'm like, this Lois Lane character, I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it.
No, no, no. You know, it, we didn't get to see enough of her being um impetuous,
Yeah.
just like really trying to follow the story no matter what.
Right.
We didn't get to see enough of that because that's classic Superman has to save Lois from her
Yeah.
own ambition, basically.
Yeah.
But Lois is such a great, strong character, that personality wise, she wins every conflict with Superman,
Right.
just from a personality perspective. And he only can save her because of his, powers or whatever. But, she's so amazing. And I just watched Amy Adams in Arrival.
Oh man. That's my movie right there, man. It's just
That movie, I had been putting off watching that movie for years,
really.
but I knew I was gonna love it. I just hadn't got around to it.
Oh man.
So I watched it with my son, right, or like the week before he left on his mission,
Yeah.
and that spurred so many conversations. It's such that movie right there is basically what I think Man of Steel should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the mystery of why these aliens are here. What's the purpose? Why is Superman
Yeah.
here? Now, why is General Zod here? What are their intentions? The problem is Zod makes his intentions completely clear from the get
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
But and then you have to question, why are these his intentions?
Why? Yeah.
Why is his first move to violence and conflict and threatening an entire planet?
Right.
Why is that his first move?
Right. He throws
Uh,
down the gauntlet literally through all the communications and all the different languages, give up this son of Krypton,
yeah,
and
and
it's like, really? Like,
and even if that's his plan, his real plan, which I still think is too cheesy to make that his real
yeah,
plan from the get go. But at least he could like arrive under some kind of pretense of
sure.
peace and just trying to find his orphan, Kryptonian, fellow Kryptonian.
Yeah.
It's just so lazy to me. It's just so lazy. It's really lazy, and that is probably the number one thing I despise in any kind of artistic endeavor is
Yeah.
laziness.
Yeah.
When I know that was just like, we've talked about that whole first idea
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, what was this the first idea?
It
Because
was
you
the
should
first
probably
idea.
shouldn't have gone with the first idea. You should probably have gone with so and for me, as talented as Zack Snyder is, that is his biggest weakness, is that he's just not a very good storyteller. And
I
we have
agree.
amazing, talented directors out there who for me anyway, to my sensibilities, just are not good storytellers. Zack Snyder
Yeah.
is one of them. Tim Burton to me
I
is
know.
another
Yeah.
one.
I
I
agree.
think once again he a completely different style, but his visual style is so cool and neat.
Yes. Yes.
But his storytelling for me is just lazy.
Yeah.
It's just lazy storytelling.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's interesting, and you contrast with the movie like Arrival. I wanted to go back with that because I watched it when it came out in the movie theaters with my wife. It's one of the few movies where I cried like deeply when I watched it
Yeah.
because I was
Oh
so
man.
drawn in by Amy Adams' riveting performance. Jeremy Renner was awesome too. Again, another
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Renner non-superhero movie that he kills. He does
Yeah.
a great job, and just the whole story of like, what if you knew you were going to have this child and it was going to die early? Would you still do it if you knew the future? That was like the big line through the whole thing within a
Yep.
story about aliens coming to visit. And it was just so emotional and just still choosing the humanity of the situation, even though it's generally a movie about aliens visiting the planet. So emotional, so
But
well
here's here
written, tied
here's the
it
thing,
in.
to what you're saying. Like, that's what good sci-fi does. It
Yes.
takes the premise of aliens coming to visit our
Yeah.
planet, but it uses that premise to talk about something so much more interesting
Yeah.
and deep. And not to say that an alien species
Sure.
visiting our planet isn't interesting, but we've seen it done, a
Yeah.
million times since, at least the 50s on film.
Yeah.
So how do you make that interesting? Well, you do what they did in Arrival, and you make it all about human experience and
Yeah.
human choice. And it was really interesting. Have you ever read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse Five?
No.
So the Slaughterhouse Five is one of my favorite books ever. Um, and the opening line to it is Billy Pilgrim has come unstuck in time.
Mm.
So much of Arrival was reminded me of like the beautiful dramatic version of the Slaughterhouse Five, which is a
Yeah.
comedy. Um, Not to say that it doesn't have drama in it, but it's Kurt Vonnegut, and he's a brilliant with absurdist comedy. That's his thing. So but similarly, this Billy Pilgrim character kind of um, basically go he I guess you can say he gets abducted by an alien race
Yeah.
who see time completely differently than Earthlings do. It's not linear. And so anyway, so many things about Arrival. You can see where it's going. Where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
um, that's the interesting thing about these aliens is that they don't see things linear in a linear way. Even their body makeup is not a
Right.
linear front, forward, backward, whatever kind of a thing. So there's so many things in that movie that they just do right, and there's so many interesting ideas, and it's a mystery, and you're trying to, and then when it comes to the end, you don't feel it's not a cheap ending. It's
No.
an ending that really makes you reframe every scene that you watched beforehand
Yeah.
and everything that was said, everything Amy Adams' character said beforehand and every expression that she made and all the dreams that she seemed to have
Yeah.
had or memories that she seemed to have had, it just reframed everything in such a beautiful way. Not every movie can do that. Not every script can do that,
Right.
but it's something to aspire to. And if a movie like Man of Steel hadn't been so lazy, it could have done something similar because
Yes.
it was doing things not that it had the same themes and premise and everything,
Right.
but it's still an alien coming to this planet. It's
Right.
told in a lot of flashbacks, a lot of trying to learn about why they're here and what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's so many things that they could have learned, that they can learn from each. Well,
Yeah.
Arrival can't learn anything from Man of Steel. I'll tell
No,
you that right
no,
now.
no way,
No, but
man.
Man of Steel, people who are making movies like a superhero movie like Man of Steel, they can learn so much from movies like Arrival. And it's like, why aren't we? I don't know.
Yeah, it's lazy. I mean, there's a lot of other areas to explore. I mean, even just from an alien perspective, the fact that an alien would come to Earth and look literally exactly like other human beings, like
Yeah,
it's not like it's a
have the same
a shape
physiology
shifting,
and
just
everything.
saying
Yeah,
like real and like that to me, like that would be interesting to explore. Like, well, why is that the case? Like, why? To me, that would be surprising. Like,
yeah,
it'd be more surprising to see that than to see something that looked like a reptile or something. I'd be like, wait a minute, wait. Some dude came here from another planet. It looked like a guy I saw at a bank the other day. I mean, why is it
yeah.
like, how is that
And
possible?
they
Like,
spoke English with no
yeah, how
accent.
is
It's
that
amazing.
like, why are we not exploring the depth of that type of that's almost the linguistic aspect, the physiology, like that part. Maybe that's the sciencey, nerdy part of me, but there's a whole element there that could be turned into a series related to that. I'd actually like
Yes.
to see Superman in a series, like a really deep series that just didn't do action all the time. And I know that there's been Smallville and stuff like that, but I'm just talking about like a very
Yeah, but
different version
that's
of it,
more
you
of like
know?
a teen
It's a
sitcom,
teeny thing, like a
or yeah,
serious
drama.
version of it, you
Yeah,
know? Like with great actors and great depth to the story, you know?
yeah, and serious, but not overly serious,
Yeah.
because one of the things about Superman is that Christopher Reeves encapsulated so well is the joy of Superman.
Yeah.
The other part of Superman that I really get annoyed with that gets ignored all the time is that Superman is actually super intelligent as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just his muscles that were affected by the radiation of the yellow sun, but it's also
Yeah.
his mind. So his mind, he should literally be the smartest guy on the planet.
Right. Right.
but so often they make him really dumb. It's
He's
like,
actually very dumb. It's a weaker part of the whole story, you know.
yeah, and they make he makes stupid, bad decisions.
Yeah.
Everyone else seems smarter than Superman. Like literally every single character seems smarter than Superman,
Right.
and it's just a betrayal of the character. He should be extremely smart,
Right.
but he should also be trusting. There should also be a side of him that's a little naive
Yeah. Yeah.
because he wants to believe in the goodness of people.
Yeah.
Um, but not too naive. And so certain Superman, I always go back to the Superman story, All Star Superman.
Mm.
It's a stupid title, but
Yeah.
but it's one of the it's the best Superman story ever written, and it takes all of the things that people make stupid decisions about with Superman, and it makes Superman the smartest guy.
Yeah.
But in the end, yeah, he outsmarts Lex Luthor, who's supposed to be a genius,
Right.
right? But he outsmarts him. Um, but he's just out. He just outgoods everybody.
Yeah.
That's the real point of it. He just outgoods everybody. He's just so innately good.
Right.
So one of the things I thought about as I watched that Man of Steel and I watched them completely level Metropolis,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is once again one of the
I know.
stupidest things about the
Yeah.
movie. But even before then, when they're, I mean, with the amount of planes that crash and the missiles that they fire, Smallville should have been totally leveled
Oh,
too.
completely. Yeah.
But instead, they make every plane just miraculously crashes in the street and somehow doesn't hurt the surrounding buildings. I mean, anybody who knows about jet fuel exploding will know
For
that those
sure.
buildings were obliterated, flattened, and everybody in them was killed.
Yes.
Um, but setting that aside, I think Superman rescues one person in that other than Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I think he rescues one person from getting harmed by the ensuing battle. Superman in the comics, he's not afraid of getting hit because he knows he can take it. So he's not as concerned about fighting the bad guy as he is about protecting other people.
Yeah.
That's Superman 101. I can take the hit, you guys can't, so I'll stand in the way and I'll get everybody out of danger because no matter what they throw at me, I know I can take it. I can get back up again. That's not anywhere in this movie.
No.
It's nowhere in that movie. Nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
That I'm Superman, I can take it. So I will, instead of just being fighting, I will just concentrate on rescuing everyone.
Yeah.
So anyway, these are the things, man.
No, I
And once
know,
again,
man.
I feel like once again it's just really lazy. It would be so much more exciting to watch Superman try to save people
Right.
and be emotionally gutted by the fact that he can't save everyone
Yeah.
than to have him be emotionally gutted by killing Zod, which why would he be emotionally gutted by that?
I know. He has no connection, literally. I mean, maybe, biologically on some level, but he doesn't know this dude from anybody. I mean, he doesn't know
No.
this guy. He has no clue who this dude is. I
And
mean,
he
literally.
just sent everybody to die in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about any of them.
No,
He doesn't
no.
seem to care about the thousands upon thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands that got killed in the destruction of
Right.
Metropolis. He doesn't seem to care about any of that.
No.
The only time he cares about a human life in that movie is when Zod is going to laser somebody with his laser eyes in the
Yeah, yeah.
train station. That's
That's
like
right.
the one moment where he shows any concern
Yeah.
for
The
any
rest
kind of human life around him.
everyone else is collateral damage, man. That's what it is.
So anyway, all this has been, I'm sure, rehashed over and over again before by lots of people, but it was just so disappointing,
Yeah.
and not to say that every writer can write great stories, but I think there's a lot of writers out there that really want to write great stories. There's a lot of writers out there who want to write the next Arrival movie.
Right.
And I think that is a little bit at the heart of this strike. It's got to be. It's like we
Yeah.
want to write good stuff, but you're underpaying us to just vomit out crap.
Right, repurposed material basically. I mean,
And most of it woke crap.
yeah.
And
Right,
we've talked about that
forcing. Yeah,
before. We've talked
yeah.
about that. We're in
Forced representation and
yeah,
essentially, yeah.
and we're not against it. Obviously,
Right, of
we want to
course.
see representation, but we just tell us a good story.
Tell us a good story.
Just tell us a good freaking
Well,
story.
this is like to me, like with you with songwriting and stuff, and these are all the arts, and I always that's why I think partially I get pulled towards different things and people as like the method of how someone makes something. Um and it's like if you're writing a song, you're writing a movie or series, like how do you create something that people will be like, "Wow, that had a lot of depth to it." Like what makes a great song that's like really emotional? What makes a great song that's really like catchy? What's
Yeah.
like what is that thing that gives someone that power to like reach down there and really give you something amazing?
I think if I were to summarize it in just like a phrase, I would say simple complexity.
Simple complexity.
For it to be catchy, for people to walk away, the average person to walk away humming it, it has to be simple.
Hmm.
Because if you do like avant-garde atonal jazz, people
Right.
aren't walking out of there humming that. It's too complex. It's
Yeah.
just, so it's got to be simple. But then the complexity comes in on the metaphor. So we were just talking about that movie Arrival. Once all the pieces are in place, it's a really simple movie. And it's actually a really simple movie to explain. It's a very simple
Yeah.
premise to explain. Where all the complexity comes in is how we get there, the journey there. And it felt like in that movie, what's the famous quote? The famous fashion designer, I'm blanking on her name now. It was maybe like Coco Chanel or somebody who said, "Before leaving the house, take off one accessory. Simplify it.
Yeah.
You probably overdid it, so take something off." Um, it felt like a movie like Arrival goes by that credo, but it looks at, okay, anytime we could have done something that was cliche, let's take that out.
Yeah.
Anytime a character could have said something that was overly simple and cliche, let's just remove that real quick.
Mm. Yeah.
Whereas in something like Man of Steel, it was like, just leave it in. Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
That's it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just make him say that. Yeah, that's cool. You know,
Yeah.
Michael Shannon will make that sound good.
Yeah, he's Michael Shannon. Like, I will fight him.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, unfortunately, Michael Shannon says zero interesting things in that
it's
movie, but he's
true,
Michael
man.
Shannon, so he's
Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, they don't give him anything. And I feel bad for him because I know if you were to tell me you wanted me to be General Zod, I would be so freaking
You'd be
excited.
juiced about it, man. I'm telling you.
And then if I were to read the script, I'd be like, darn it. you know? Michael Shannon seems like a really intelligent guy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that intelligence comes out in his nuanced performances in so many of the movies that he's in.
Yeah.
Um, and the different kind of performances he's done. He's done some wildly different
Man, wild.
characters.
Well, he has what I call like not what I call, but he has this like screen presence and this intensity. He's
Yeah.
got, he's got a very stone looking face, and he doesn't look like a tough guy to me. He's just kind of a very like standard, very skinny looking guy, but
Mm-hmm.
his intensity is like palpable. And
Yep.
like his look, the way he looks at them, like, man, this guy is scary kind of, but he's like his physical nature doesn't feel scary to me, but just like his presence feels very commanding. And to
Yeah.
waste something like that, not every actor has that.
No.
They're getting by on different things. Maybe it's a physical comedy, maybe it's, something else. Like his thing is like intensity. He's got that like Denzel intensity. It's like, oh,
Yes.
oh, okay. All right. Like he's pulling
And
me
that
in.
has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And for me, that comes from intelligence, like we just said, and confidence in craft and preparation.
Yeah.
I think some those kinds of actors, like a Michael Shannon or a Denzel Washington,
Yeah.
when they show up to work, oh, you all better be ready
We'll be ready. Yeah.
because we're bringing it,
Yeah.
and we're ready. You know,
Yes.
somebody like those actors, they show up on set. It's like, I'm ready,
Yeah.
so
You better be ready.
you better be
Like,
ready. Everybody from the gaffer to the
yeah.
lighting technician to the camera technician, everybody else better be ready
Right.
because when I do this scene, we're not going to need a retake.
No.
It's like, I'm not going to need to do this twice. If we do this twice, that's on somebody else.
Well, it's kind of I was doing a solo cast, and it was kind of about this book I've been reading called The Mystery of Mastery. Honestly, it's not that good. I'm just be very honest. The book is not. It's written in a very, you like you just said, like make something catchy, simple, complexity. And
Hmm.
this book is just all complexity. And it's written by an art critic. And it makes sense it's written by an art critic because it's written in the style of an art critic, overly done
Gotcha.
with the
Yeah.
words and stuff. But I like the concept of studying the mystery of mastery. And I feel like whether it's directing, writing, acting, writing songs and stuff, I'm in love with the concept of mastery of something, which is why I think I
Yeah.
get really disappointed when I watch something that's not good. Because I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's
it's
just,
like Tom Hanks said, it's like a miracle to get a movie put out and actually finished. So why wouldn't it be amazing? It's like,
yeah. Why wouldn't you just from the source material onward? Why wouldn't you just choose the best of the best?
right.
Because but for me it's just laziness, and we've talked about this. It's
Yeah,
content creation.
it is.
Instead of art creation, it's content creation. It's a completely different philosophy of slapping somebody's name on it,
Yeah,
giving some big names some big paychecks to come be in it.
right.
It's like, give them the same paycheck and put them in something
I
interesting.
know you're already hiring them for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Why don't you make it good? It's not like the money's the issue. It's like you've already gotten the hard part out of the way. It's like,
Yeah.
just
I
make it
mean,
good.
and I know that even in a bad movie, people had to have been passionately involved.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just really believed in that project. Um, I'll pick some low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Black Adam, which I
Oh
hadn't even
boy.
I didn't even watch.
Yeah, I
I didn't
watched
even
it.
watch.
Not good.
Yeah, I didn't even. I saw the
Simon,
I saw the trailer.
I
I
didn't
saw
have
the trailer.
to.
I didn't need to see that movie. And unfortunately, another thing that I can say is against it, which is I'm not against this person, not in the least, but The Rock. Um, if he's in it, I just don't think it's going to be good.
Well, he's a movie for hire actor. Basically,
Yeah,
you put The Rock in for star power, not for substance. Sorry, Rock. I mean, that's just
yeah,
literally what it is. I mean,
and hey, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
for sure.
Nothing against it. Nothing against him. I'm just saying, if he's in it, it's probably not good.
It's probably
It's
true.
just probably not a good movie. It's mediocre at best,
At
and
best.
it's probably bad. I
Agreed.
mean, name a movie that he's in that's good. That's genuinely good.
Genuinely good. I don't think so, man. Honestly, it's no way. No
Like the
way.
closest thing I can think of is it called The Rundown, where he goes down to Brazil
Oh
to
yeah, yeah. I
grab
remember.
that
I
guy?
remember that. I mean, yeah,
I think that's the best movie he's been
that
in.
was a while ago. Jeez. I
That was a
mean,
long time ago. But
everything else has been shit since then.
I'm not even saying
Scorpion
it.
King.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that movie's good. I'm just saying I think it's the best thing he's been in.
That's bad, actually.
Yeah. I mean, most of it is actually really bad, but it's got Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Christopher
Well,
Walken gives a speech about the Tooth Fairy.
yeah.
I mean, so it has moments. It has some action sequences that I think are
Yeah.
genuinely really good.
Right.
And most of the time, it's just like not even the action sequences are good
Yeah.
for
But do you
these
like a
things.
guy like The Rock? Do you think he goes into it knowing this is not going to be very good? Or it's just
Well,
like, hey,
I brought up Black Adam because I know that's been a passion. That was a passion project for him
it
for like
was.
10 years or something like
Yeah.
that to get that movie made. So why wasn't it good?
Right.
Like if this is something you believe in so badly, so I was the script just no good? Because if the script was no good, then why was the movie greenlit?
Right.
But everything I've heard about the storyline is just like, oh my
It's
gosh,
bad. And
what an
honestly, it's
eye
bad.
roll! What an
It's
eye roll! And it's just like, why does this happen? Oh, so this can happen. That kind of a
yeah.
movie,
And they wasted
you
Pierce
know.
Brosnan's character because he's a fantastic actor too. I mean, he's
So when I was sick a few weeks ago, I went back. I'm not a Trekkie, but I
yeah,
kind of am.
yeah, yeah.
I've seen in percentage wise of what's been put out under the Star Trek moniker. I've seen very little.
Okay,
I love Next Generation. I haven't even seen the whole series, but I love it. I think it's wonderful. The OG Star Trek
yeah,
series, I've seen a handful of episodes. I haven't even seen all of those,
yeah.
but I've seen all the movies with the original cast.
Me too.
And I love those movies, even the bad ones.
Same.
And I wonder why I love those movies, even the bad ones. And it rests on the performances of the actors. Say what you want about what's his name, Captain Kirk,
William Shatner. Yeah,
William Shatner, and his
he's
signature
great
acting
in those
style.
movies, man. I'm
He's
telling
so
you,
good.
he's really good.
He's so good. Here's the other thing. He's really smart.
Yes.
And guess what? Everybody else in the movies are as well, pretty
Yeah.
much. There's a
Yeah.
few exceptions, where maybe a Klingon is a real numbskull or
Sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
But by and large, everybody's really smart. So I went back and I watched Wrath of Khan,
Oh yeah.
Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home. I think those three movies are just marvelous. And
You know,
I'm
this is
not a.
bad. We both have watched these recently. This is weird. Why are we always watching the same movies? I
That's
literally
really
was
funny.
watching those.
That's
Not. I
really
said, "Oh
funny.
man," I watched Wrath of Khan when I was little. I mean, it's like, and then I kept watching. I said, "Man, this why it's so good." Like all
It's
these are
so
so
good.
good. I love the play between Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, and just the whole. It's incredible, man.
Okay, so then I went and watched the first two of the new cast,
Yeah,
series, the reboot. It's like, why are these so bad?
with Chris Pine and stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, it's.
So I realized something. J.J. Abrams, he directed the first two, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he got that gig off of directing one of the Mission Impossible movies. And I was like, holy cow, these Star Trek movies are Mission Impossible movies. I'm dead serious.
uh,
Go watch the
I
the
gotta
reboot
rewatch
Star
that.
Trek movies, and you're like, oh my gosh, these are just Mission Impossible movies with Star Trek characters in them. But they're so bad, they're so forced. There is not a moment in those original Star Trek movies that feels forced or
Right.
contrived. Everything feels like, oh, this happened, and nobody's an idiot.
Yeah.
In these newer movies, everyone's an idiot.
Everyone's an idiot. Completely agree. It's just-
In the old movies, people are respectful to each other. Yeah, they tell jokes.
yeah.
Yeah, there's snide comments here and there. I mean, Bones is Bones, and
Yeah, of
he's
course.
he's gonna voice his opinion about things. but even he has respect for authority.
Yeah.
Everybody has, you know, they're actually in this, you know, military.
They're
and
actually in it, yeah.
and in the new movies, it's like nobody respects anybody.
No.
Everybody's just like, yeah, we're just buddies. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. I can just say whatever I want. And I'll just yell and scream and we'll fight. And it, it's just so forced, contrived, and stupid. And it just shows the immaturity of the writing and directing.
And to
That it's
make
just
Zachary
really
Quinto's Spock,
immature.
yeah, more sexual in nature, like,
Yeah,
and I
you
really wasn't
know,
that into that part of it. I don't know, it's not that I care
no.
about I enjoy all that stuff, but I just felt it wasn't the right move for but this is like when people start rebooting stuff and they go, "How can I make this my version of it?
Yep.
How could I make this different and give a okay, we're gonna make Spock like really he's gonna make out with Uhura in the thing, you know, and like there's gonna be
Yeah.
like all this like sexuality. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what you needed to do to create something different. I mean, I like Zachary Quinto. I think he's a fantastic actor, but it's kind of wasted a little bit to me on that, you know.
He could have made a decent Spock. I'm not even going to say he'd be a great Spock. I don't think
Right.
he was. I don't think he was cast that well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, I actually think Chris Pine could have been a good Captain
I do
Kirk
too. I just
if they
wasn't
wouldn't
there.
they wouldn't have made him a manic
He's
crazy
too
person.
much of an idiot. Like it's just
Yeah,
I don't know. William
it's like
Shatner was not an idiot. Like he was really good. Like he had command of that ship. He was a good decision maker. Like, you know,
and things were earned.
earned, yes.
So in Wrath of Khan, when he's feeling disillusioned with things, he's a middle aged man who's now been promoted to behind a desk.
Right.
So yeah, he's a bit disillusioned with things. Um, the one character or Captain Kirk in the third movie, and I didn't even watch that one recently. I
No,
watched those
no,
two, and I was like,
no.
I
I
can't
was
again.
out
But
too.
I remember that they were trying to make him, you know, disillusioned in that
Yeah.
movie, and it's like it's not earned. Nothing's earned
Yeah.
in these movies, and that pissed me off more than anything. That goes back to laziness, where
Yeah.
emotions are not earned. I mean, Zachary Quinto's Spock is so easily emotionally manipulated.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, and then you go back and you watch Leonard Nimoy's Spock, and there's not a single moment where you can emotionally manipulate this guy.
No.
Not a single moment.
He's solid, man.
And I mean, it's so good. If you remember, I think one of the here's what we keep going back to. One of the best scenes in Star Trek of any movie of this in the Star Trek universe or TV show of any of one of the best moments is the resurrected Spock in the beginning of Voyage Home
Yeah.
doing the computer test stuff to kind of rehabilitate his mind
Yes.
and everything. And it gets to the question, how do you feel?
Yeah. How do you feel?
It's like, I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
You know, and then his mother comes in, his mother talks to him, and you know, they talk about his um and she's explained to him that he should have some human emotion, that he should place some importance on those human emotions. And his response is so Spock. He's like, I, you know, it's something like, I will, if you deem it of importance,
Yeah.
I will do, you know,
Yeah.
I will do that. You
Yeah.
know, he wants to please his mother, but he
Yes.
just doesn't see any
Yeah,
real
there's no
importance
logic
in the
behind it, yeah.
in the thing of how you feel. And then, you know, it comes full circle at the end when he has a nice moment with his father, and
Yeah.
he tells him to tell his mother, I feel fine.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful, those moments are what makes sci-fi good.
Yes.
Those are the things that can that elevate these films beyond. I mean, name any moment in the reboot Star Trek series where it's even quiet enough to have a conversation like
Right.
that.
Yeah. No. I just wonder, Simon, like, as we have new filmmakers coming up, you know, filmmakers that are growing up in today's world, will they be able to create these masterpieces based off of how they're growing up and what they're seeing? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll be a few here and there, but kind of worried about it, honestly, a little bit. I'm like, uh,
I understand that worry. I think about every time one of the old guard passes away.
yeah,
In 2016, Bowie and Prince both passed away,
right,
and you ask yourself, who's going to pick up those mantles? Not to be the next David Bowie or the next Prince,
sure,
but to be somebody of that creative caliber who has that kind of influence to the betterment of art and
yeah,
music. You're just like, man, I just don't see anybody out there. I just don't,
it's
and
weird, man.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to be real. Where I was like, I'm not David Bowie. I'm not
Yeah,
Prince. Who's out there? Who I'm looking around, and I'm just like, who's the next Bruce Springsteen? Who's the next, whoever? And I just don't see it. Every time, I see somebody and I'm not trying to degrade these people. I'm not trying to say they're bad or anything like that. But when I just listen to, I'm gonna say, I'll say Lady Gaga because
sure,
I really respect her. I respect her as an artist.
yeah. She's
But so
talented.
many
Yeah,
so many people compared her to Bowie, have compared her to Bowie, and I was like, I'm sorry, but her library of her catalog of work, you just can't hold that up against David Bowie's.
no,
You just can't. And I'm not knocking her as a creative person or anything like that or as a talent. I'm just saying she's not
yeah,
the next David Bowie. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
no,
She's
no,
Lady Gaga will not have the cultural significance that David Bowie had. She's not the touchstone that David Bowie was. So, and I am using her because I respect her so much. And to your point, it's like, if that's the best that we have, or if that's some of
yeah.
the best that we have, well then it's just not
Yeah,
good enough.
it's
It's
not good
just
enough.
poker face is not good enough
No,
to
it's
to
not.
join the ranks of
No,
station to station or something like that. Uh,
no. We're suffering from that because, like in movies, you go, "Oh, this is a James Cameron movie." This is a Nolan, Christopher Nolan movie, and you know what that means when you hear
yeah,
it. You know there's going to be some level to it that's like, wow, like okay. Well, I mean, I'm not seeing. I'm seeing these guys, but like, where are the other people? Like maybe
yeah,
they're just creating great art underground, and they're just not part of the
yeah. Maybe we're just
machine.
not
I
seeing it.
don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Um, you know, Guys like James Cameron, he started off working on really bad movies, and then
Right. Yeah.
he got his chance,
Yeah.
and was able to show what a great filmmaker he is. I can't say that I've liked anything of his since
Yeah.
T2,
Yeah. It hasn't been. Yeah.
but he has a vision.
He definitely
Uh,
has a vision.
I actually haven't watched either Avatar
Are you serious? I've definitely
movie.
watched both of them. I like them. I actually like them quite a bit. Yeah.
I saw about 5 minutes of the first one, and that's all it took, really. I'm
Simon.
just be honest with you. That's all it took. I heard some dialogue, and I was like, this is not into
I
this.
heard some dialogue.
you know,
The ultimate critic,
yeah,
Simon. I heard some dialogue, and it didn't pull me, man.
yeah. I mean,
It
sorry,
wasn't
it just.
Tar. I mean, it just. It's like, I just heard it, man.
yeah,
Sam Worthington didn't do it for you. Like,
he certainly didn't.
no, I mean he's not a great actor to me personally, but
Hey, once
honestly,
again,
he's not to me. All those like Titan movies were garbage. Honestly, they were bad.
which movies?
The Crash, well, not Crash, Clash of the Titans. Clash of the Titans.
Oh,
He
see,
was in those. Those are
I didn't
bad
watch those either.
because I actually
Those,
really like the original from way back in the day. That's actually
yeah.
a
I
movie
mean,
I think you and I should watch and like critique
let's do
because
it because
that's a interesting movie. Actually,
I grew up on that one, and those kind of claymation special effects and
yeah,
things
it's
like that.
something
Which,
different with that.
yeah, it's a completely different cinematic experience,
Yeah.
and it's not a well put together movie. Honestly,
No.
I watched it probably about 5 years ago. I watched it
Yeah.
again. One thing I'd totally forgotten about was like there's nudity at the beginning. It's
Yeah.
not like sexual nudity. It's
Sure.
like a mom breastfeeding or whatever. But I was just surprised it's PG and there's full frontal nudity. And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's the early
It's the
'80s.
'80s.
Full
It's
frontal
required.
nudity was okay
It was
in a PG
required.
movie. Yeah, it was so funny. So, um, but yeah, no, it's not a well put together movie. It's clumsily
Yeah.
edited and directed, and but there is something special about it
There's
though.
something special there. I don't know. It's
There's
hard to
something really
explain.
special about it,
Yeah.
and it also doesn't have anything to do with the actors or
Yeah. There's
but
something there, man. I'm telling you. But I think
yeah,
it's like too much technology. We're starting to lean too heavily on the technology. And I think it's also greatly bloating the price of movies that being made, all the technological innovation and the time it takes to do this stuff. That is just
yeah,
taking away from the stories mainly. I feel like. I mean,
it
maybe
really is.
less leaning on the technology. Blow some shit up.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, man. It's like, come on.
I watched a little mini documentary recently about the guys who make the miniatures for
Oh,
these
okay.
movies and how for a while that went away and these guys had to figure out
Oh,
other ways to kind of make a living. But then miniatures have made a resurgence from everybody from Christopher Nolan likes to
yeah.
use real miniatures. Oh my gosh, his name just flew right out of my head. The Budapest Hotel. His latest movie was is that uh, oh my gosh, why can't I just think of people's names and names of films and things
You
like
don't
that?
remember the names of your songs. How can you
I
remember
know,
this?
I know, I know. Yeah, well, he's the director of Life Aquatic. Of
Okay. Yeah.
anyway, he loves to use miniatures, and these miniatures are really big,
Yeah.
like so they can really use them, but they look so good.
Yeah.
They look so good. I mean, Christopher Nolan used when he blows up that military installation at the end
Yeah.
of what's that movie called? Inception.
Yeah.
That's a miniature and that's a real
Incredible, right?
explosion. And it's like, yeah, why aren't we doing that
Why not do more of
instead
that?
of the computer generated stuff that I'm sorry, I mean, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I can tell that's a computer generated explosion.
Completely. Completely.
And maybe use that computer generated technology to enhance a real explosion. I feel like
Right.
that's when computer generated effects really come into their own when they're
Yeah.
used to enhance something that is real.
Yeah.
Um, and they can be computer generated effects can be amazing. I just watched Dune last night. I hadn't watched that yet, the
Which
new
the
one.
newer one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that
I actually
movie?
liked it. I liked it, man. You always see, I this is my thing. I'll probably get trashed for this, but and I know David Lynch disowned the Dune that he made, the
Yeah.
director, but I actually kind of liked it. Maybe it's just because my dad and I watched it growing up a
Yeah.
lot, and there's nostalgia behind it. But I thought the movie was beautifully made. Like the cinematography was beautiful
Yeah.
of Dune, and it was kind of a quiet movie. A
Yep.
lot of like mood. So I mean, I guess I don't know. When it was over, I was like, I know there's another one coming, and the director is a pretty, I guess, one of our bigger direct. I think is it Alfonso? No, it's a different guy, is it? I don't know.
I'm blanking on who directed it, but
Maybe it's the
yeah.
guy who did Gravity. I think it may be that guy. Puts maybe one of those folks. But
Mm.
I thought, okay, there's a lot of big name people in here. I love the cinematography. I don't know, Timothy Chalamet or whatever his name is. I'm not a huge fan of him.
Which one is he?
He's the guy. He plays Paul Atreides in
Okay.
Dune movie. The kid who becomes like the main character.
Yeah.
I just he's not believable to me. I don't. That's just me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like they went a little too young.
Yeah,
to
Zendaya.
be
I was like, eh.
believable.
Mm,
I'm really torn on Zendaya.
yeah,
I haven't decided if she's an actress or not.
I don't think so. I mean, I watched
I mean,
Euphoria on HBO Max, and I love the series, but I just think I'm just not there. I'm not there for her. I don't.
yeah, I'm not either. She has beautiful features,
Right.
um,
I mean,
in kind of an anorexic.
right.
I don't know how old she is, but she does play teenage to me.
Yeah.
Um,
They went too
which
young. I really think they went too young.
yeah, I feel like Paul. He should feel like he's in his early 20s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he seems more like 16, 17
He's like an
in that
emo
movie to
person,
me.
kind of. I don't know. This is a
That is
95. I
exactly
mean,
what
this
I
is like,
thought when I was watching. I was like, "This is emo Paul," because
exactly.
Paul in the original, he's very positive. He's very
Yeah,
upbeat.
he is.
His relationship to his father is really nice in the original. In this one, I get it. They're going for a different feel.
Yeah.
Here was my biggest beef with Dune is that there wasn't enough contrast. So if I'm going to feel the tension of them going to this new planet, then I want to see them really happy on their own planet.
Yeah. They were not.
Yeah,
Like,
if I'm gonna see them go to this monochrome planet, that's just basically brown,
yeah.
I want to see on their planet a planet that's full of life and color.
Right.
If I'm gonna see Paul Atreides later dressed all in black and in the desert gear that they wear, with the Fremen,
Yeah.
at the beginning, I want to see him in colors.
Yeah.
So those are my biggest beefs. It's like, oh, the bad guys are wearing black. Oh, so are the good guys. Not the biggest deal in the world, but what you see what I'm saying? Where it's like I want some contrast, and I'm not talking about
Yeah.
neon lights or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm just saying, show me a planet that's full of life and everything, and then that will contrast so much more to this desert planet. Show me a family that's genuinely happy and that love each other,
Yeah.
so that when there's the downfall and everything, then I know that those connections were really profound and real and everything.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and yeah, believe it or not, I had a real problem with everybody just talking so quietly the whole
It
movie.
was so quiet. Like,
I'm just I'm not against quiet movies,
right.
but you're asking me to sit through 2.5 hours of people whispering.
Yeah, it is. And even like the villain in the original Dune, the AKA the flying fat man, he was kind
Yeah,
of funny. And he was like
he
very
was.
boisterous,
He was
like
over the top.
he
I
was
mean,
over the top.
he was clownish, and I appreciate them restraining him in this one, but they restrained him too
It's
much.
too much. He was just like, they gave him a chance. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
I appreciate restraint, but not restraint to boring.
yeah,
I'm blanking on the name of that actor who plays the flying fat man in the new one. He's one of my favorite actors, though. I
yeah.
love him. He
Gosh,
is
who is
so
it?
good.
Yeah, it's. I know who you're talking about, but he's excellent. He's
He
excellent.
he's he's one of those actors who's always good.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter the movie he's in, he's always good. He was in
yeah,
those Thor movies. He was the
yes,
scientist guy.
yeah.
I wouldn't expect him to be in, Marvel movies. He's
I
not
know.
for
Yeah,
me, he's not that kind of an actor who goes and does Marvel movies,
yeah.
but he's excellent.
Something
In
Skarsgård or
those
something,
movies.
maybe, or something like,
Yes,
yeah,
that's Skarsgård, yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård or something like
Yep.
that. Yeah, he's excellent.
He
Yeah,
he did a short-lived like detective cop series a while. I don't think it was that long ago at all. Anyway, he was so good in it, and sometimes it wasn't that well written and things like that. But once again, it's like he's one of those actors who elevates everything.
he
He
elevates it.
just
Yeah,
elevates everything,
yeah,
and I would have liked to have seen him chew up the scenery a bit more.
yeah.
I would have liked him just to be in it more. Period.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, there should be
That
more of that. Hopefully, in part two coming up. We'll see.
that was the other thing. It's like we haven't even seen the Emperor yet.
No, it's no this.
I don't like phantom bad guys You know what I'm saying? Where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we don't ever see them. Why do I care about them?
Yeah. Show
You
me the
keep
person.
talking about them, but I don't. You can talk about it all you want, but
Yeah.
until I see this person,
I
I don't
know.
care.
Yeah.
Or at least until I see the impact of what they're doing. And
Right.
in the original movie, or there was just a lot, that was different. I've never read the
Sure.
book, or books
Oh, it's
plural.
a lot of books to read, man. It's a
Yeah,
big haul.
so I don't know anything about the original storyline.
Yeah.
It feels like this must be pretty close to the
It's
original
pretty
storyline,
close. Yeah.
because very similar to the original movie in most of the things as well. I was actually surprised they didn't change more,
Yeah.
because most things really went in line with the original movie. Um, Even the dialogue and things like that. I was surprised that they
Yeah.
didn't change more of the dialogue and things like that. But I guess maybe that's what's in the book, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just felt like they they were allowed to be more exuberant in the
Yeah.
original film.
Yeah.
To what you're saying,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
just allowed to just go. I mean, you had people like Patrick Stewart in the
Yes.
original, these great
Yes.
Shakespearean actors.
Paul. Yeah.
Yes. And so they would just really, and it's not knocking any of the actors in this new one, because pretty much everybody in this new one they're all great and accomplished
Right. Yeah.
actors. They just weren't allowed to have the kind of gravitas
Yeah. It's just very muted,
that they
it
were.
felt.
Yeah, exact. And that's what I'm trying to say with all that. Everything's muted, so there's no contrast.
Yeah.
And when there's no contrast, it's really difficult to keep my attention.
Yeah, because when they were on like their other planet, it just looked like it was Washington State most of the time. It was like
Yeah.
rainy and overcast. I was like, I just came from there. I was like, I just like it's.
Yeah.
And then they go to Arrakis, this desert planet. It's like I agree. There should have been more of a contrast. There's not much discussion about the time travel element to it. There's a little bit about the spice. I guess for me, I just like really in depth dialogue about some stuff that seems to be thrown to the back. I'm like, wait a minute. How about this stuff? Can we go in deeper about this? Like, you just
Here's
got
another
there.
thing I was really surprised about. In the original movie, there was a lot of exposition. It
Yes, there
starts out
was.
with that, the
Yes.
emperor's daughter just
Yes. Yes.
talking straight into the camera, telling you
Yes.
everything that's going on. And I was surprised that in this movie, it felt like there was just as much exposition. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, you're breaking this into multiple parts, and this is 2.5 hours long, and you're still giving me the same amount of exposition as I got in the first movie that was trying to condense everything into I understood why they were doing it in the first movie, because it's like, man, we got a lot to cover,
You got a
and
lot to cover.
so
Yeah.
we let's just. But there was so much exposition in
Yeah.
this movie, and I was like, there's gotta be a better way of telling me about this without
Yeah.
just just literally just telling me about it. There's
Yeah.
gotta be a
Just
better
within the
way.
movie, they could have done that a little bit more. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
got to be a way to do it that doesn't just like not over the top. I don't know. It's got to be
And you
something
can
there.
learn about it without somebody just literally reading it out of a book.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally just reading it to you out of a book.
Here's what happens in this scene. It's like, oh man.
So I actually came away from that movie wondering if I'm just not a Dune fan.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It's
I will tell you that I am completely over messianic stories.
he's like, I totally get that.
Completely over it.
I wanna talk to you about that more coming up. I know I have to get going here, but that's actually a really interesting point of view, which I think may kind of jump into Clash of the Titans a little bit. It's kind of a messianic type of thing too, you know?
Dune, Superman, Clash of the Titans. We could go down a long list
Yeah,
of
yeah. That's a good
messianic type stories. So let's do that for next episode.
messianic type. That would be a great discussion, actually. Thing, yeah.
Uh, I love Jesus and the story of Jesus. I really do. And to make somebody maybe metaphorically alike to
Mm,
Jesus is not necessarily a bad thing, but I am just really
you're
over
just
the
over it.
overt
Messianic.
33 years on this stuff.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
33.
man.
I'm like, really, guys? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's get over it here. Simon, you're the man. I am so grateful for our relationship. Seriously. I know I've said it a lot, but it's just it's one of the highlights of my existence. That's a big statement to say, but it just really it
Oh
is, man.
man.
I'm just such a grateful friend. I feel grateful to be your friend. I'm not joking.
I as well. I'm so glad I have somebody I
Yeah.
can tell all this stuff to.
Yeah, you just tell me, okay? Tell
I
Shannon,
can
don't worry about
complain
it.
all this stuff
Yeah.
to. I can complain about I can undermine cinematic masterpieces.
Yes,
Someday I
yes.
can do that too.
I'm happy to be, part of this whole process. But man, I so appreciate you. And next time, messianic figures in movies. It's gonna be hell of a discussion, man.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thanks.